Mina blinked repeatedly to wake herself up. She found herself laying on the bed in a dimly lit room. Her body felt numb. She couldn't feel anything at first. There was some furniture in that tiny room that looked somehow familiar, but her head was covered in haze, so she couldn't think much. A familiar voice, distant and comforting, broke the silence. "Mina, how are you? Have you eaten well?" She stared pointlessly in the blank, wondered if she ate something, but all she knew was an empty feeling. Felt like decay before she answered the question, not even sure if she had said it aloud. "I don't know. Maybe I wasn't hungry." It felt like her second day woke up to this room, which is similar to her room according to the deepest part of her memories she could recall, but somehow did not feel like her room genuinely. Furniture and everything were the same in shape and size, but looked dull. "It's okay, darling. You're gonna get some food tomorrow. I'm sure it'll taste pretty good." Her dad's voice from distance said again. Days blurred into one another, yet each day felt the same that Mina could hardly tell how many days had passed. But when she woke up to the same room today, it was slightly different. Maybe it was the light ray that changed its angle and reflected the windowsill. The room seemed to be brighter than before. The scenery outside that used to be a blurry side of nonsense blue sky and tree branch had changed too. But still, she felt like something's missing in this place. Mina looked outside and thought to herself, "That tree wasn't there yesterday, isn't it?" Mina looked back to her front and saw dishes of food on the table on the other side of the room. There was full of vivid color, vegetables, fruits, and bread on the plates, served with a full cup of milk that seems palatable. A voice pops up from nowhere again. It was her mom. "Looks yummy, right?" Mina sat down at the table with curiosity, looked at the food closely. It was too perfect. The texture of the apple seemed too smooth and vibrant in color that she was hesitant to eat it. She bit the apple. It had taste, but weird, not even close to delicious. It's sweet, but somehow felt artificial and foreign. "What's this apple? It's weird. I mean, it's sweet, but just plainly sweet and juicy. But I think something's missing, but I don't know what to say." She mused aloud as if her mom and dad were right there. It's just her genuine reaction. Quiet for a while, then her mom's voice answered. "Is that so?" She sounded worried. "It's okay, honey. You don't have to eat if you don't like it. You can order whatever you want to eat if you want to." A screen appeared on the side of the table. "You saw that screen? Open the message and just tell us if you needed something. Mom and Dad had to go to work now. We'll answer you in messages." Or you could just tell us out loud like that. We'll try to fight it out for you," her dad reassured. Time had passed when Mina found herself on the bed again. Now the pinkish-orange light had now filled the room. She just realized what'd been missing in this whole time. It was the noise. The ambience was very quiet, except for her own voice. Everything was in silence. No matter what she did, it has no sound, nor the atmospheric noise like birds and wind. Everything looked perfectly real. She couldn't deny that. She could touch and feel everything. It's there, really. But the wall had no cracks. The floor had no dust. And the sky, it was overtly beautiful cyan blue. It was too perfect to be real. But still, Mina's head was too dull to figure things out. a modular room inside a hospital. 10 computers and 10 developers were working on a long script of codes on each of their screens. Their hands were scrolling mouses up and down, switched to key something on keyboards. They were sitting quietly, but that room had loud noise of computer CPU and air conditioner running all day and night. A room next to them was a small room. In the center of the room was a hospital bed with a pale, bony girl wrapped up in gauze all over most part of her body. There were numerous cords raking out of her body, on the back of her hand, her arm, but mostly from her head. Next to her bed were screens that show her pulse, heart rate, and a lot of live monitoring graphs. Mina's mom touched her daughter's hand gently. Mina's hands could never hold her mom's hand back again after the incident that made her in her coma. Even until now, Mina's mom still concerned if it's the right way to help her daughter, but her husband insisted on trying his new technology of simulation of Mina's life in her head so she could live and do things as if she wasn't been on an accident that caused her paralyzed. Are you sure it's the best way for our daughter? She won't feel the pain in there. It would be just like a real world. She's gonna believe that it's real. I'm not sure she's going to believe it. Soon the developers will simulate us into her simulation too, and they will expand the scenarios outside her room too. Trust me, she's going to be happy in the world. Don't you want to talk to our baby again? Yes, of course, I do, but she talked to us in the simulation world, but do we actually talk to her? She's sleeping right in front of me while I record my voice talking to a screen. Mina's dad looked at his wife crying, yet he still believed that it's the best way to help their daughter. Mina's dad seemed serious standing next to a developer. This look amazing. Are you sure things going to work perfectly? The screen was showing a preview of Mina's balcony view that had movements and noise added, which was playing in 10 hours loop. The developer nodded. Yeah, sure, this has the most stable and trustable system running in the background. This scenic view was created by the highest technology CG we have right now. The production scale just like in Hollywood, so I'm pretty sure it'll look the most realistic as possible. But anyways, she cannot interact with those yet. It's going to take some time before she could do that. And I think this is going to be big, so I need a lot more budget, sir. Day after day had passed. Mina's simulation world generated by hardworking developers progressively getting bigger and more realistic. They added details as much as possible and programmed how things in her simulation were going to interact with what Mina do. To Mina, even though she couldn't describe how, but those objects still overtly perfect, yet dull in a disturbing way. It wasn't a big deal anyway, she thought to herself. If this was a dream, I need to cope with it until I wake up. In the meantime, they were thriving in creative world in Mina's head. Developers, visual effects artists, and Excel technicians were progressing on their big step waiting ahead. Until it's the big day. Finally, the developers were ready to launch simulation of her parents in her head. They know how to. However, the team head had one concern to tell Mina's parent. The head developer said, if you're not being able to interact with your daughter all the time, simultaneously react to her right after she interacts with you, she's definitely going to feel confused, or worse, she's going to disbelieve the world we've been created for the whole year. Mina's parents looked at each other, worried. Mina's dad said, then what should we do? The head developers said, I suggest you using AI to talk and interact with her. All you need to do is just train the AI with your data as much as possible, so it could be you and simultaneously interact with your daughter even when you're not available. The more data you give to train the AI, the more naturally it can interact. You'll be surprised by how it is resemblance to you. The head developer sounds a bit excited, but then returns a serious face. But of course, you can still come to talk like how you're doing right now at any time you want. It's just like letting AI on active for you. Mina's mom was against this idea, but Mina's dad wanted to try as he didn't say any cons about using AI in charge of him when he had to look up other patients, as he was a neurological surgeon. And eventually, Mina's dad's decision had won. In Mina's room, Mina had woken up in the same room again. The same light ray reflected the same angle of her room's window. Even with the most realistic image generated that used to create Mina's simulation world, it still looked flat and soulless as usual. Lately, life here seemed to be more enjoyable since she could go on a walk outside in the forest nearby the house. She couldn't find the water anymore. This place expands infinity. She could even pick an apple from apple tree there to eat. Even herself is surprised when she woke up one day and found herself getting used to it and think it's not a dream anymore, though that was just momentarily thoughts. She had gone back in the living room in one sunny day after an hour penning outside when her parents showed up, sat on the sofa, looked just like they'd always been there all this time. "Mom, Dad, what are you doing? Where have you been this whole time? I felt really weird, like I've been in a dream." Mina's mom smiled, but her eyes stayed the same soulless. "We've always been here, honey. Don't worry. Everything's fine. Come on. Come and sit with us," she said and patted space next to her. Mina sat next to them and her mom hugged her while her dad just looked at them. She didn't know why, but couldn't help the feeling like she had been missed the warmth of her mom's hug and the way she would pat her back gently. Mina felt every touch of her mom's body, but was a bit surprised that her mom's face was exactly the same after the hug. That scares Mina a little, as if that's not her mom. "Mom?" It was that moment Mina gut's feeling getting stronger. She gradually remembered her memories more and more every day. Even if this simulation world seemed to never stop expanding and looked so real, it's still soulless and dull. It's all perfectly aligned, and the day and night seemed the same. It started to cause Mina stress. Although she gets whatever she wants, she never truly gets what she wants exactly. She saw things, but she didn't feel things. She hugged her parents, but she could feel that deep down inside, they didn't feel anything. There's nothing such as the worry under the smile, but also the relief of how they finally see each other. "I missed you, Mom and Dad. I really do want to hug you once more, and I'm so happy that I could And I'm so happy that I could talk into you like this. But it could never be real, and when I know it wasn't real, things are just so scary." Mina was secretly hoping that if this was real, her dad definitely going to say in a bit of sad voice like, "I missed you too, and I wish this was real too, honey," and hug her lovingly. But what she received after that was only Dad's straight face saying, "This is real, honey. Believe me. I know it feels weird, but just because you're probably confusing your dream with reality." They looked just like her mom and dad, spoke with her mom and dad voices, and talked like her mom and dad, but they just weren't. Just like everything else, it looked perfectly real, but it's not. She just knew it. Mina tearing up. All this time she could do whatever she wanted to, but it also felt like walking in circle. She always ended up in the same place, same time, and everything worked out the way she wanted it to be. There was nothing wrong, which is wrongly wrong. Mina turned her head back to her mom and dad. Can I talk to my mom and dad? She stared deep down into those soulless eyes. A moment of silence took place in the room for whole minutes. Then their eyes started to blink. Something had changed behind that. Mina could feel it. And Dad said, I'm sorry. We just wanted you back. His voice crackled even though his face wasn't seem so much like crying. But finally Mina could feel something she hadn't felt for a long time. Something imperfect. This was such a relief to her. Isn't this seem good to you, honey? You can talk to us. You can see things. You can walk anywhere you want. If there's something wrong, please just tell us. We could fix that together. It felt like I stuck in this weird place. Every single day are the same, even the birds chart. The trees never change their shape for this whole time, or even if it changes, it doesn't make any sense at all. And I don't know how to say, but everything was too perfect to be real. Her dad stunned for a few seconds and then nodded. He was frowning. I get it. I'm sorry. I thought this would be the best thing we could do for you. You've been so lonely and confused for a long time, right? Mina cried, nodded her head while her dad got up to hug her shaking shoulder. It's okay, baby. It's okay. Everything's fine. Mina's dad watching the monitor with the doctors and developing team. And the head developer said, I told you, you'll be amazed by how this AI seems so real. Your simulation can interact with her and deal with emotions really well. You can see that it did elaborately capture her feeling just like human. Calculate every data she's giving like facial expression, voice, and her personality to decide on how to react. Now she's fully believed it. You can see it, right? The head developer couldn't even hide his smile of excitement now. This project had finally accomplished, and he's going to be gain some sense from it. Mina's dad nodded, but wasn't as happy as the developer. He had a feeling combined of amazed and concern. Now even himself couldn't tell the difference between human and AI anymore.